there, folks.
Hi there.
Something is still playing on the,
I
in the
think you've
background.
still got the music from that amazing countdown.
Oh, I see.
Maybe
you have the YouTube open. Yeah.
It's done anyway. So here we go.
All right. So this is Würfelcast, episode 19. Today's topic of the day is Kickstarter games, Kickstarter Delicacies. Delicacies.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
How do you
Delicacies?
Delicacies. Yes. Something like that. Anyway, this will not be about the food. I'm sure about that.
Well, there might be a Kickstarter or two about them.
I see. True that.
Now, we were saying board game Kickstarters, right? We weren't doing just every Kickstarter we've ever backed, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I think board games is fine. I'm not gonna go with like, I backed this bread. They're gonna cook it and they're gonna send it in a few months. It's gonna be
delicious,
mold and delicious, and
it'll be a party for everybody. Dance.
Come on and dance.
Well, I mean that's about baking bread, right?
Yeah, true that. All right. Anyway, we have amended, we have revised our segments a little bit. Few new segments, some older segments as well. We're gonna try to do it shorter this time, as we always try to do it. As it never happens, but let's try. Yeah. Let's try to make it shorter. Anyway, we always start with recent plays. So, Kyle, tell me what you played.
I know you usually try and find things online and find pictures of it, but I bet you won't be able to because as far as I know, this game only exists in Korean. The game is called Drop the Net. It was a game that was recently brought to me by a friend from Korea.
Game?
It's from what's the company? Happy Baobab Games in Korea. It's an interesting game. It's more of a children's type game, although we found it very difficult ourselves. So what you do is you have a bunch of little like plastic fish of 5 different types spread out all over the table, and you take these. There's 4 different shape of nets. There's a hexagon, a triangle, a circle, and a square. And when it's your turn, you'll pick the net type and you'll put it on this little fishing pole and you'll drop it down, and it has to go all the way around without touching any fish. And then you have to pull the fish back to you until they touch your little boat. And if the net tips up, then the fish get away and you only get to keep 1. And then if you do so, you can put 1 fish on a market that makes different types more valuable. So there's a bit of a game there. Very short, very simple, but that pulling the net back is really quite hard. I think I only successfully did it 1 time, but it's an interesting balance because the more fish that you have in your net, the harder it physically is to pull without having a failure. So it was a short, super simple game. Not a whole lot of deep strategy there, but it looks great. If we were downstairs, I could show you. I mean, it's as far as I know, it's not available in English at all yet. But it certainly is a game that we do not normally talk about. And one that I look forward to, like with my kids at church or with, some people who just want a quick, simple, dexterity adjacent game with a little bit of thought in there. There you go. Drop the net.
It's true. I couldn't find it anywhere. So
yeah, I thought you would be unable to.
Yeah. Anyway, but okay. What's other things you've played? What's one more thing you want to?
One more thing. I thought we were only doing 1, but I'll do another one. So another thing that I played was the brand new Barbarian Hordes expansion for Empires of the North. This is, of course, Imperial Settlers Empires of the North. The game came with 8 factions, 4 factions with 8 different, each one has 2 separate clans in it. I don't know how you want to call that. And then they've had a Japanese expansion, they've had a Romans expansion, and now is the Barbarian Horde expansion. So I've only played with one of the 2. The Boudica clan, and it's basically the same game. It just adds some different ways that you go about doing things. The one that I played with, it's sort of spin is that you have a bunch of little rafts that you get. And when you're going to harvest something, you don't just get to harvest it, you have to spend that raft. And you can see, or you can spend a boat, like you can see on those cards there. And that'll depend on how much you get. And then you can get bonuses based upon how many rafts you've spent, or there are ways to get them back. And it's really just kind of doing that, is manipulating an extra resource in ways that are going to work with your cards to get you points. The other one, it's like the Ugvar clan. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but it has these tokens that you put out on opponents' cards, and when the opponent activates the cards, you get a resource as well. So you're sort of tipping the opponent as to what you want to do, and then eventually making good on that. But if your opponent says, aha, I'm going to shut you down, I'm just not going to use that card, there are ways for you to capitalize on that as well. That one seems like it would be interesting. I haven't played with it yet, though. Anyway, 2 more great factions. I'm really enjoying the game. It's sort of going its own ways, and each group seems to be a little bit different, and I quite like it. And it looks good. The artwork on these cards is fantastic. There's one really funny card of like a major heist or something, and it's a bunch of barbarians stealing somebody's snowman. It's just weird artwork that's kind of fun, but light and friendly, and really fits well with sort of what the game's all about anyway. And it just makes a good game better.
Okay.
So if you don't like Empires of the North, this clan will not change, or this expansion won't change your mind. But if you do like it, it's going to be a welcome addition, and it's not particularly complicated.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, as you told, we wanted to do 1 play each, talk about just one game in a little bit more detail maybe. But because you talked about the Korean game that I couldn't show, I realized that we should have something that I would show. Otherwise, the Korean game is something that nobody will find anyway. So
I found it.
Just a fairy tale. Yeah. So just to balance out your second pick, I just briefly want to say I played Cartographers with some non-gamers. I tried it again. It works really well with quite a few different folks. It just I don't know, it just works. It's that one game. It's that Splendor. It's that Red 7 thing. Anyway, but the game I want to talk about, I got a game back to the table that I really wanted to get back to the table. I play with 2 of my friends, and it's been a great experience. I lost miserably, but I had fun, and that's Rising Sun. Yeah, so everybody knows Rising Sun, but I mean, it was really cool to play it again because I haven't played in a while, and I forgot how to, play the whole game. I had to read the rules and watch the video to remember everything, but it's not hard. I mean, this game has few nuances. It has few small rules you need to follow, but overall, it's rather streamlined area control game. The cool part about that is that not all of the not all of the regions score at the same time. Every kind of age, there are different bunch of regions that score, and some of them are just whatever they are. You can use them for that harvest action, of course, but I mean they're not gonna give you those big points at the end of the game for set collection and things as well. So I really like that aspect of this area control game, of this war game, and building yourself up. I mean, this one is for me even better than Blood Rage because everything is an open information regarding the cards that you have. Everything is at the center of the table. Anybody can grab them, but you need to have a certain action to grab those cards. And this is, main action plus the follow from the other players. And if you are the active player, you can get a bonus. And there's the alliances things, and that's fine. And of course, I like the special powers because it differentiates you from other players from the beginning of the game, not like in Blood Rage. So I feel like Rising Sun is a better game, in my opinion. So
there you go.
A comparison to so that's my recent play, Rising Sun. All right. So, and now we're gonna go to a Kickstarter segment. What's on KS or what's in Kickstarter? And I want to just let me just go to Kickstarter from here, and
Okay.
I want to give a shout out for a game that I'm gonna preview that game. The video is gonna be out by the end of the week. I didn't have much time to create the video. They already launched the Kickstarter. I was like, what? Couldn't you wait a little bit? But whatever. And that's the Estonian project. I mean, it's a game from Estonians, and it's Lunar Base. It's called Lunar Base. It has very small funding goal because they want to do a extremely small print. And in Denmark, I don't know why. Maybe they have some partners of whoever they have in Denmark. But this is a strategy game for 2 to 6 players, and it's a small card game. The box you see here, this was the prototype, and I feel like, I haven't told them yet, but I feel like this game is very much inspired by, for example, Seven Wonders or Seven Wonders Duel.
Okay.
Because in this game, you are using those cards with like half dots, and you're connecting those cards on your kind of a player, not the board, but I mean the player area. You're connecting those cards with one another and creating those dots, which give you discounts in colors to buy cards. Because, like, as you can see here in the corner of the card, you have the cost of the card. You need to pay money for that. Whatever the, for example, here you can see it costs 2 blue, 2 yellow, to red. You need to pay 6 money in order to put this card out. The thing is that if you start connecting those dots in your base, then you can get discounts in those colors, thus paying less money. So that's a nice idea, but it's almost like Seven Wonders Duel. As you remember, you draft cards and then you make your resources cheaper and so on. So basically the same. And the winning conditions is that you collect either 10 colonists, and these are those cards that you play out, or 5 different scientific achievements, which are basically the icons, basically like Seven Wonders Duel. Or you collect 20 credits, basically, if you hoard money. And the influences are something like special cards, which is like an add-on, small like mini expansion.
Okay.
But it's a simple card game where you play those cards down. You play the ancient cards as a free action, and then you can play main actions on those cards that you have already played on your player space. And then you have drafting, you have collecting, you have take that moments as well, where you can steal some cards from others, or take away some credits from them and so on. So you can kind of push them back, push them further from the victory to gain yourself a victory. And you can flip your bases, like the initial card that you get, you can flip it in order to make it more powerful as well. It's nothing you haven't seen before.
Sure.
But for an Estonian,
it's hard to find something I haven't seen before.
Yeah. But why I'm talking about quite much, because first of all, I wanted to give a shout out because it's an Estonian project. Check it out. It's not bad. It's actually quite
like
good.
It's a Danish designer. That name doesn't look very Estonian.
I don't know if he's the designer or he's the project manager. Probably maybe they're going to print the game in Denmark. I don't know exactly, because the designers are Estonians, as much as I know.
Okay,
but
I don't know. It just says Ole Bosborg Jensen, which probably, but who knows?
As you can see here, these are all Estonians.
Yeah.
And I don't know who. Oh, he's collect operations team. So probably he's the marketing or whatever. Maybe. He's project manager. Yeah. So yeah, it's back it. It's how much is it? I don't know.
Well, it's a $159 Danish money plus probably a lot for shipping. But
$26.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, for a game, and it's a small box. It's it has nice replayability. Yeah, it's fast as well. If you familiarize yourself with the cards, it's rather fast. So I know. I was impressed by, it's Estonian design, and I'm not really impressed by Estonian designs usually, but this one is actually finally a good strategy game,
Well, there
though
we
it's
go.
small. Yeah, that's Lunar Base. Check it out definitely, and I'm sure you can back it as well if you really want to.
I already have.
You backed it?
Yes.
You can ship it to my place, and then I can take it with me in February.
Well, that's assuming it'll be done by February.
I think it will. They already have
I'll just have
exact plans. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, your
All right.
Kickstarter game.
So mine is an expansion for a game that has just come out, as well as a collector's edition. This is the new Cows expansion for Petrichor. Petrichor is a game that has been on my to-play list for a while. I played it once or twice, a few times when it came out. But there you go. It's that first one there. I played it a few times when it first came out, and I liked it quite a lot. Other people were less enthralled by it, but this is another expansion, but it has a nice, deluxe box with inserts to store things and upgraded components, I believe, for the clouds.
Yeah.
And things like that, which will make it a little bit nicer, make it easier for me to get out. Plus, it's got cows, and cows are fun. I have the expansion with the bees, but I haven't even tried that one. And yeah, I like those sort of upgraded.
The clouds are fun.
Vacuum tray clouds. I think those are a lot nicer than the cardboard ones that come with it.
They are, because they are, above the board, a little bit above the board. It makes it much better, I think.
Right. So, I mean, it's not. I don't know that it's anything innovative and new. It's just an expansion for a game that I do like, and so a little bit more is always a little bit welcome. There are some different plants apparently that do different things based upon the climate, and it looks like it'll be a fun expansion and a good jumping on place if you haven't tried this game. But I'm excited for it, and so that's why I chose to talk about it. And also, I at least know something about it this time.
Yeah, I played it. I think you have seen our preview of this game.
You guys did a preview for Petrichor years ago, back at its first Kickstarter.
Yes, that was on Kickstarter as well. Yeah, So we did a preview. They sent us a copy, and then we sent it somewhere else. And then we were pleasantly surprised because this game this looks bigger right now.
Yeah,
I mean, like lots of components and things, but it had quite a few components. But when we looked at this game, it's like it's gonna be a light game, and then it surprised us pleasantly because it was I don't want to say heavy, but it's a thinky game. It's really thinky, in my opinion.
The way that the area control works is a little bit less intuitive, is I think what it is.
Plus the seasons or whatever they were, they are less intuitive, yes, and the different crops and how they score and what they score, and some of them need to have some seeds and then the sun and then things. Some of them are simple and some of them are with the progression, and you need to remember all of that.
And there's
the expansions. Oh, what?
I like things with a cactus. So.
You mean, was it the expansion? I think
it might have been one of the expansions. I just remember there being a cactus in the game. Okay,
because I don't remember if I played the expansion.
Yeah, the first one came with an expansion, and then they had the bees expansion that came out, and then now this is the third one.
Yeah. So. It's a good game. I pleasantly surprised it came back because it wasn't so well received, in my opinion, because it was a little bit weird.
Yeah, it's an unusual theme. It doesn't. I mean, looking at the box itself, it doesn't say, "Ooh, I want you want to play me." It's just a white box with a raindrop. But
it's thematic.
And the game itself is kind of, I don't know. It's quirky looking. But I remember, when I played it with people, I liked it a lot, but other people liked it a little bit less. But I'm still excited to get the new version with upgraded components, a big box to hold everything, and an expansion featuring cows.
You're a cloud. It's like my song that I wrote. We are like the clouds. Okay. Anyway, Let's go away from this kisses stuff and
For a minute.
go to the next segment. And I'm gonna put this one here. Guess that game. Let's go back here. And in Guess That Game, we're gonna, throw hints at each other of those games and then try to guess that game. Yes, through that. So I think without the further ado, do you want to start?
Yeah, I can start. I'm just going to open this window to let it. Oh no, that's a bad idea. I'll turn on the light in a minute. So the first game that I have to guess about is a game about dungeon adventurers.
It's Cutthroat Caverns.
It is not Cutthroat Caverns. In fact, this is a cooperative game.
It's Gloomhaven.
It is not Gloomhaven. This is a small cooperative game that's played in 15 minutes or less.
A4 Quest.
No, it's not A4 Quest. I've not even played that one. This is a game of simultaneous play. No turns.
Oh, is it the Magic Maze type thing?
It is the Magic Maze.
Oh, but it's dungeon. What?
I said it's about dungeon adventurers, not about adventurers.
Oh, I see. Okay, dungeon adventurers. Yeah, simultaneous.
Or about it's about adventurers who go into the dungeon, but they're not in the dungeon in the maze. In fact, my next
they are in the mall.
Game's about shoplifting. But
okay, true that. Okay, all right. Let me do one then as well. This game. The theme of this game is Greek mythology.
About half the games on Board Game Geek.
True. This game is a reprint. I mean,
Santorini?
Oh, you got it.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Oh, that was easy. My next one, where it has bigger cards and special powers. I mean, you should have gotten, yeah.
Well, new Santorini's coming out.
Yeah, true. The New York one.
Not sure how I feel about it, but we'll see.
I don't care.
I'll give it a try.
I don't know why. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like, I think I would like to try it. I think it's going to be good.
I think it's going to be better for more than two people.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Whereas Santorini could go up to more than two, it shouldn't. This one, I think, could go down to two, but shouldn't. Okay. Based on how the rules work. But we'll see.
All right. So your next guess?
All right. My next game is a game about outer space.
Outer space. It's Outer Space the game.
It is not Outer Space the game. This is a game that features dice.
It's Dice Stars.
It is not Dice Stars. In this game, you are trying to manage probabilities.
Oh, Outer Space, dice, probabilities, fuse. No, it's not fuse. I don't know. Okay.
In this game, you have something to do on every turn.
Is it this Space Cadets or something like that?
No, there's no turns in Space Cadets.
I don't know. I've never played that.
In this game is a race to 40 points.
Is it that Zaya Legends? I don't know how many points it has. No?
No. In this game, you're building up a base of ships numbered 1 through 12.
What? Base of ships 1 through 12. I don't know. I've never played this kind of game. Outer World and the Core Worlds or Race for the Galaxy.
Well, that's unfortunately my last clue, and it was my best one because the game is called Space Base.
I've never played that one.
Oh, well, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a game about building a base in space.
Base in space, yeah. I mean, like, I've seen this game, but I've never like looked into that, how it's played or what's it all about, because I heard like something like that it's what's the other game it's based on? What's the similar game?
So there's the Kingdom, Valeria Card Kingdoms, and Machikoro.
Machikoro, yeah. So I heard that it's like Machikoro, and then I'm like, nope, I don't want to.
It kind of makes you not want to play Machikoro again. It does
Machikoro
so much
kind
better.
of
It
made
takes all
me
the things
not
that
want
aren't
to play.
Machikoro and puts them into a better game.
Yeah,
So-
but I mean, Machikoro already made me not want to play Machikoro. So,
Well, this isn't Machikoro. It's space-based.
oh, it was Machiboro. Anyway, let's go to my to your guess from me. It's an economy game.
Is it Pipeline?
No, it's basically a card game.
Basically a card game.
Yeah, I would say that.
Basically a card game. I don't know about that. Is it Concordia?
No, it has player powers.
Is it Stellar Contract?
No, I think you're gonna get it with next one. It has parodies of famous people.
Parodies of famous people.
Yeah, kind of not mocking, but I mean, it pictures like twins or parodies or of famous people.
Is it Clank in Space?
No, it's an economy game,
Oh yeah,
and this game is about buying and selling.
Is it High Society?
No. Okay, last one. The expansion of this game introduces dice.
I'm afraid I'm lost.
You know that game? Okay, it's Stockpile.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
There we go. All
Trying to
right.
make hard. We failed. We failed miserably
A
on this
little.
one. Yeah, but that's fine. Okay, so we're gonna go to our next segment, which is different from the usual one. I mean, like it's a new segment here. Yeah, we call it Under and Over.
Are you sure you don't mean under and over?
Yeah, Under and Over. So this is about we're gonna talk about one game each for under and for over, which means an underrated game and an overrated game. So, Kyle, what are your picks for, in your opinion, an underrated game and one overrated game?
An underrated game is a game that I really like that I don't play very much, but I used to play a lot of. The game is called Alcart. This is a delightful dexterity game which features little metal cooking pans and salt shakers. And, you know, on your turn, you would be trying to cook different dishes, and you would take these salt shakers and you'd have to dump out just the right amount of crystals, working only by touch and feel. Or that when you were making a pancake, you'd have to put it in your pan and flip it up in the air and catch it in your pan. I mean, there you go. It's a silly game. It's as silly as can be. But it was a lot of fun. And it's just not one that, maybe it got some love back in the day, but I really have not heard about it talked about for a long time. And it's one that I would love to get out again and try, just because it was so delightfully cute and had interesting, different kinds of dexterity beyond just your normal stacking. And a nice theme and there was great artwork on the different little tiles representing the recipes. I thought it was a great little game, and I think it is underrated.
Okay, yeah, sure. It's what is it? It's 1834 on Board Game Geek. Yeah, that's and the rating is not so high.
Yeah, it's underrated.
yeah. What I tried to do, because some of the ranks of board games are low, but for example, the ratings are good. It's people know it, people love it, but it's just the weird system of Board Game Geek. So I tried to kind of put both things into perspective, different things into perspective. Okay, so that's your underrated game.
This game's overrated.
What?
This game is very much underrated.
No, it's this one. You said underrated. What's your overrated game?
My overrated game is a game that I enjoy. I like. I just don't understand why everybody thinks it's the best game ever. And that game is Brass Birmingham.
Number 3, I think it was it on
BGG.
BGG.
I think the game has a rather inflated rating. I like it. I enjoy the economics. I enjoyed Brass as well. I enjoy sort of that debt planning. I enjoy the moving things around. But I don't think this game does anything that is new or spectacular or different from its predecessor or many other games. It does look great and has great components, but I just don't understand the buzz.
It's the thing is, I was thinking about that one, but it has clever mechanics of of those the cubes that you pull off from those tiles, and also it's so tightly designed that kind of everything you do matters, and it's highly strategic.
Yeah, and it's a fine game.
You can build up, and it's the new edition, of course. I think the new edition and the introduction of beers, the new edition kind of boosted it because the production is great. And the art is really cool. It's just that's why I told you, like, ugly games that are good, if you make them beautiful, they will be great. And that's what I think happened with Brass. Brass was really cool, and it was probably very high on the list as well. But once they made it into a beautiful package, people are like, wow, this is now amazing, because people tend to like beautiful games because they are beautiful, But I don't know if I agree. If it's, I think I understand why it's so highly rated.
Well, I find it to be overrated.
Yeah. I don't rate myself that high as well, but it's just my opinion and my things. All right. So my 2 picks. For my underrated pick, I chose a deck building game that you know well, but I think it's under the radar for now. It's Arctic Scavengers. I
know well because I've never played. Yes.
Oh, I see. Because Arctic Scavengers, this is the base game. There's the newer version, the Recon HQ, like whatever, the all-in-one box new edition, but it doesn't have a rating or anything like that. So. But even the base game, when we got this version, Rio Grande version, let me see if I can find a nice picture, whatever, here it is. And this is the deck building game, but it has really cool side effects things going on compared to many other deck builders, even to my favorite one, Valley of the Kings, for example. And because this one introduces it has the skirmish phase, where you fight with your cards. It's just a separate phase, but it's deck builder still. Instead of just buying cards from the market, you can go and you can dig into this pile, and in this pile are really cool, powerful cards. But you can also get some junk. It's cool. It has the push your luck element with kind of a digging mechanism, and it has this skirmish mechanism. It has those people and different resources, and the cards are multi-use actions as well, basically. It's so different. It's so cool and fresh and unique. And I don't know why it didn't, get a bigger appeal. Because we get Clank, and Clank is, something huge, and wow, Clank made deck builders feel like something new. Arctic Scavengers did it before Clank, in my opinion. So that's definitely a game that you should try. It's really cool.
One of these days.
If you have that one, I don't
have that one.
Oh, I see. Okay, you should buy it.
I was thinking about it, but it kind of looked, when I was thinking about getting it one time, it just kind of looked like another deck builder to me. And I know I haven't played it, but it just I had so many sort of just general deck building for deck building sake games that it was not high on my list, and it would kind of be hard. It's hard these days for me to get a deck building game out unless it's something more than a deck building game.
This is, in my opinion, kind of something more than a deck builder. It has those cool mechanisms of storing cards and going for skirmish and bluffing and things.
Sure.
So, anyway,
I'm judging it by its cover. One of these days, maybe I'll try it if I'm somewhere where it is, and then I'll probably pay too much to acquire a copy.
I think it's in the Dice Tower library. It might be. If it is, then we can pull it out and relearn it. Okay, so my overrated pick is a game that everybody loves, but I felt like maybe it was cool in the beginning when it came out, but for now it should have fallen down because it's viticulture.
Oh, yeah. That's an easy one for me to agree with.
I feel like it's cool, but it's a farming theme. I like winery and things, and
it's grapes and making wine.
Yeah, but what I mean is
there are no cows.
It's simple. It has simple, mechanics of things, but the problem with the culture the problem with the culture and that is expanded and that is better in many other worker placement games, and there are so many very cool worker placement games that are, in my opinion, better than viticulture because they give you more options, they give you more wide spectrum of things where you can go. In viticulture, it has those seasons, and it pushes you into that kind of a straight line. You need to follow that thing, from left to right. And I feel extremely restricted. I feel like I'm doing the same thing all over again, like the seasons and things. I just felt like it's restricting the game itself, and I don't understand why people love it so much. Because the card draw, it's random, and sometimes you just don't get the right card for the right season, and you cannot go to that other spot. I want to go to that spot right now because I'm so excited about that spot.
You can go. I cannot. Later.
No, it's not this particular season. I cannot go to that spot. It's not autumn. It's not spring.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why he made such a design restricting the worker spots into different seasons. It's mind-boggling because all the other worker placement games, as you know, the newer ones and all the series of whatever the Viking series and then the medieval series, whatever they're called, Paladins of the West Kingdom and whatever West Kingdom and North something blah blah blah, and Champions of Midgard as well. You have all those different open spaces, and it's up to you where you want to go and what strategy you want to pursue. So it's so overrated.
I enjoy viticulture. I guess I would say I tolerate viticulture, but I've never had a game. I've played this. This is a game that I have wanted to like and have tried really hard to do so, but I've never played a game of it where people have said, "Wow, that was amazing." It's always been, "Okay, that was a game." And
I think it was amazing at the beginning.
Hmm?
I think it was amazing when it came out, and then they added the grounded worker.
When I've played it with people, that we've just never had that. This was an amazing experience game, type of a game, and there are so many other games that I like more that kind of feel similar. That this is just one that, although I will continue to try to like it. I just do. I would agree that it's a bit overrated.
And I was so much. I didn't want to play it at first, because I felt like I shouldn't play it. It's not.
But it's a legacy game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but I mean, like, to be honest, I avoided this game for a long time, and then I'm like, I need to play it because it's James Tegmar. I need to play it, and then I was like, what? This is it? Don't care. Okay, so let's go to our next segment. And the segment is called Funky Components. And in this new segment, we talk about the components that are, they can be outstanding or different, unique, in a good way, in a bad way. It just, if you want to highlight components that are unusual, different, huge, whatever they are. So, what's your pick for funky components? And I'm going to try to find the picture.
All right, my take for funky components. This is one of the more famous funky components, but it felt like a good opening entry to this particular topic. The game is called Andromeda.
Okay.
And the component is what is known as the cosmic ashtray.
Is it the there are like 5 Andromedas here, or
probably the older one.
The 99?
The Alan Moon one.
Let me see.
Yep, that's the one.
Okay.
So if you go down, you see that right
Dial?
there. That's the one. This is the component I'm talking about.
What's
this
that?
is the cosmic ashtray. And so what you do with this component is you'll have things inside it that go in there. And when you want to take over an area, you'll put it down on the planet. You'll put your thumb over that little hole. You'll shake it around. Then you'll move your thumb and you'll slowly slide it back. And the cubes will kind of come out in a line, and you'll try and have the majority that way. There's a picture, if you look a little farther, I was looking, where somebody actually turns it over and puts a cigarette in it, and it actually looks like an ashtray. But basically, that's what it is. It's a plastic dish with a little hole in the side. It's a mechanism that really has not taken off, but it's an interesting way to there you go, to kind of resolve conflicts in a game, or resolve sort of the. No, honestly, it serves the same purpose as drawing cubes out of a bag, right? I mean, you could do that just as easily and put them in a line, but it's interesting, and it's definitely memorable. It's even though Andromeda itself isn't a game people remember, anybody who's played it will remember the cosmic ashtray.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna play the game, but it sounds weird.
It's a funky component.
Yeah, true that. All right, so my pick is more of a modern classic, and this is the component, or the set of components that are talked about or were talked about recently, and people were questioning why. So I think that's the overall, theme of this segment. Why? But on the other hand, some they are great, but some of them are not. And I'm talking about tapestry here, and I'm talking about the tapestry buildings.
Okay.
I went classic because it's talk about it's a safe bet here, because in this game these cool kind of resin-looking painted buildings, they are really nice, but all they serve is basically Tetris pieces.
Yep.
All they are is playing Tetris on your board. They look cool. I bet that, but I mean, like, they kind of it feels at some point that they're not part of the game. Everything else is more like a linear thing, and then you have 3D painted resin type huge buildings that you play Tetris with. I just what else to say, and they have those different circular or the different bases. They don't kind of fit, or they don't cover the rectangular spaces that well. So you need to have those 3D printed bases from fans of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're weird. Why?
They're weird.
But I mean, I like them. I like how they look, and I like how it looks on the table. On the other hand, I feel like, why?
Sure.
Maybe it should have been better as tiles, more functional and less expensive. So,
all right.
That's that for the funky components. We're gonna be back next episode with more funky components. But let's go to our topic of the day now, and it's gonna be top 10 Kickstarter Delicacies.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not talking about food, we're talking about games. And also regarding those games, I think it was quite easy lists, and I think it's
this one was very easy list.
Yeah, it's a predictable list. But beware, we're gonna do what was the name? Top 10
Kickstarter stinkers.
Yes. Next time we're gonna do a different one. Kickstarter stinkers, the games that we don't like. But talking about this topic, I try to. So first of all, it was a little bit hard because when I was like, oh, I'm gonna put this game on the list, and I'm like, oh wait, this is a reprint of a deluxe version of that game,
Mhm.
And I realized that I want to put the games that are originally from the Kickstarter, and I want to avoid the reprints. And I will almost put one game because it's so different from its initial release from a long time ago. I was like, yeah, but it's kind of different game now, totally different game, But they're like, no, it's still a reprint. Let's just do straight up Kickstarter games.
And I tried to do the same thing too, and I think I did. I didn't research it too hard, but these are games that I believe I had backed the original Kickstarter on most, if not maybe one or two of them I didn't. But I do remember that they were Kickstarter games, not like it printed in Japan and here's the Kickstarter for an American release or something like that.
Not all of the games on my list are bought through Kickstarter.
Sure.
There are few picks but most of them are the ones that I backed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I didn't have to go very far to find these. I mean, I have personally backed 658 Kickstarters. So I just went down my back projects list, and it was pretty easy.
True that. Yeah. All right. So let's go to your number 10.
Okay, my number 10 is one we talked about last time when we talked about lesser-known publishers. This was the guy's first Kickstarter, and he ran it like a clock. I mean, he had regular updates. It was really well done. The product was great. The game is called Xia, Legends of a Drift System. It is a space exploration sandboxy game. Rules aren't amazing. The rule book could have been a little bit better, but in terms of just a great-looking game that you can get in and have a space exploration adventure and do whatever you want, that is what this game did. And it was a game that came, from Kickstarter. It was never, I mean, it's probably in distribution now, but, originally it was just a Kickstarter game, and it was some guy trying to sell his dream, which is really what Kickstarter was originally supposed to be for. And that's what this game was. So it was a Kickstarter delight.
Cool. All right. I've never played this one. All right. My number 10, and let me just switch to my number 10 is Blood Rage.
Yeah.
So,
I figured. I could probably pick your list pretty easily.
Yeah, it was not hard to pick my list, but I mean, like, I squeezed Blood Rage. By the way, it was on my short list. I was like, should I put this on my list or should I put something else? I had a few other picks instead of Blood Rage, but then I realized I still really do like. I don't know Blood Rage anymore, but I still really do like Blood Rage quite much. I would definitely not turn down a game if somebody says, let's play Blood Rage. I will definitely play it because this is the game that I didn't kickstart. I skipped
you
it.
Were sad about.
Yeah. No, I got it through Secret Santa. That was really cool.
I remember.
And I don't know. It just it surprised me. This is the first Kickstarter game that surprised me so much because I was like, it's a Ameritrash game, but then it played so well because I didn't care about Cool Mini or not at that point. It was like, oh, it's a Zombicide and all this stuff. I don't want to have bloated huge games in my collection. I just don't want to, repeat the Arkham Horror things.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, you get it. I like such games, but they tire me so much that I don't want to play them eventually.
Definitely on my short list. Did not make my main list, though.
Yeah. So Blood Rage, everybody knows about it. It's an area control game with drafting and huge miniatures and cool powers, and then you are going to kill everybody and collect points. Or if you're lucky, then you might be lucky.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this list isn't going to be one that I think is super surprising because we've seen kind of a turning point where a lot of good games have actually started coming out of Kickstarter. The early days were a little bit rough, and we'll be talking about some of those next time. But
yeah. All right. So what's your number 9?
My number 9 is a unique game. It's a game that is unlike anything else, which is, of course, what unique means. It is an economic real-time game that is a nod to gamers and sort of the collectible card game fans. The game is Millennium Blades.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a funky, quirky game where you have a couple of different phases, and in one you're frantically buying things and trading things and trying to get the cards you want, and then everything stops and you play kind of a mini game with the cards, and then you start the clock and you do it again. And it's just a really fun game. It's not one I get to play very often because it's so unusual. It's a little bit difficult to get to the table and a little difficult to teach, but it was a great game that came out of Kickstarter. And I remember when it came out and I was like, should I get this? And then I thought, it sounds fun enough. Let's go ahead.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Number 9, Millennium Blades.
I never played this one as well, but it sounds a little bit funky, different. So maybe at some point I'll try it.
Yeah, it's a huge box though, so you're going to have to go somewhere where it already is. Also, it's not the best 2-player game. It's a game that really shines a little bit more with 3 and 4, just for purposes of the trading and market mechanisms that are in the game.
Okay, yeah. All right, my number 9 is another game that you introduced me to, and that's Burgle Brothers.
Yeah, this was also on my short list.
Yeah, this is another game that I skipped because it didn't look exciting. It just didn't look exciting. I was like, weird box, and this art style is weird. It has cool theme, but weird. I didn't realize it's such a good game during Kickstarter because you never know. It's you can have a cool game coming from Kickstarter. You can have a really bad game that we're going to talk about next time. Anyway, but this is a cool game. It's a cooperative game there that you're exploring different floors, and each floor consists of those different tiles, which consist of different rooms. And you're going to discover all those different rooms, and some of them have alarms and things, and then the guard is chasing you, and you're trying to crack the safe, get the loot, get some extra stuff, and then run away.
Yep.
As a team.
That's pretty much it.
But the loot kind of it's heavy or whatever, or there's a cat that just tries to run away all the time, and something like that. It's all of those things, and then you have cool special powers, and then you are trying to outmaneuver the guards. It's AI, but it's quite cool. You can kind of see where he's going, but not all the time. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I won this game, but it's so cool of a puzzle to solve. It's basically a puzzle. You look at this.
But it's a great cooperative game. It's just a really interesting way because you really have to work together. And, okay, I'll go up and distract here while you do something down here. It works really well, and it's in a very small package, unfortunately.
Yeah, the package is small. So, yeah, it's a big surprise, and I think it's one of those Kickstarters that needed to happen in order for this game to live, and I think it's a success.
Okay.
Great success. Anyway, let's go to your number 8.
All right. So my number 8 is where my list starts to be predictable. My number 8 is a game that I talk about all the time. It was, I believe, the number 1 from the list we did last time of lesser-known publishers, which goes along well with Kickstarter. And
Tentacles?
That game is Clans of Caledonia.
Oh, I see.
There you go. It was a Kickstarter game. It was a game that I still really like. I mean, it's still one of my most played Euro games. It was. I mean, I've talked about it enough times that I don't need to belabor the point. But it's just a great little economic game where you're spreading yourself out and using your special powers and trying to fill contracts. I really like it, and it is a game that came from Kickstarter, so it belongs on my list.
True. Never played it. Never will. Thank you. Okay. But yeah, let's go to my number 8. And my number 8 is a game that I was told it's a kind of a successor to a previous game, more like a spiritual successor, and some people took it a little bit too, I don't know, too seriously. And I'm
Okay.
talking about Living Planet.
Oh,
Yeah, what I'm talking about is that Archipelago is the first game, and then Living Planet is kind of like a spiritual successor. It has few things that are like Archipelago, but this is a different game. But people were like so obsessed about, it's successor to Archipelago, and they wanted to have Archipelago 2.0, and they didn't have that, and that's where they were underwhelmed by this game. But I still feel that if you explore this game further, if you appreciate this game for what it is in its own identity, then you can find a lot of fun in this game. And I do
sure.
like this game. I mean,
Yeah.
like the first time I played it, I felt weird. I felt underwhelmed as well. The second time I played it, I felt like, okay, I started getting it. And the third time I played it, I loved it. So it has quite a few expansions, and it needs those expansions in order to stay replayable. But it's a game with building your buildings and then abandoning them at some point because you got few resources from them. Now go sell them because they have the stock market going on here, and the stock market is very important because you need to get money, which is basically most points. Money is the biggest thing here. But I mean, like all those cataclysms that happen, this is really cool because in this game it teaches you not to, it. I feel like it balances out the level between more not smart but more strategic players versus
Right.
more casual players, because a strategic player cannot go with, like, he found this strategy and he can milk these buildings as long as he can. No, if the cataclysm happens, he's gone. You need to abandon your buildings, which is really cool. I like that.
Okay.
And the coolest part for me is this dice mechanic where you choose the cards, which are your dice, and you choose the die for yourself, and this is your action points. This is the cataclysm that's gonna probably happen. This is the special ability if you're the leader as well. So a kind of a multi-use of cards, and yeah, it has some very cool mechanics blended together, and it's a hard package to
Yeah.
kind of not master, but I mean, like, to appreciate at first. But
Sure.
then if you look further, you can totally see the beauty.
Okay.
Living Planet, my number 8.
All right.
Number 7.
My number 7, predictable, probably also on your list, but we'll see. My number 7 is a game that looks great. It's a game that I got all the pieces nicely painted in a big wooden painted crate to hold them in. The game is a Kickstarter game called Rising Sun. Already talked about it a little bit. A fine Kickstarter game, a fine game anyway, but it also came from Kickstarter. So there you go.
Yeah. Oh, it's all talked about it. Showed you the picture.
There you are.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a good game. Oh. All right. My number 7 is a game that you probably thought will be on my list because I talked about it a lot recently, and that's a Ryan Laucut's. By the way, is Near and Far a Kickstarter game?
It is.
Oh yeah, it is. Okay, it didn't. I think it should have been on my shortlist, but I wouldn't make the cut because I think that Empires of the Void 2 is a better, and not a better game, but maybe I like Empires of the Void a little bit more than Near and Far. Or maybe at some point they can switch the spots. At some point I could put Near and Far instead of Emperors of the Void.
One of these days, I'm going to play this game.
Yeah. I would talk about it quite much, but I mean, this is a 4X for Ryan Laucut. It's Ryan Laukut's kind of a approach to 4X in a simpler manner with the main action and following those actions and building yourself up like in Scythe, upgrading like kind of a revealing those different spots and kind of upgrading yourself throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there was the Empires of the Void, which was also the Kickstarter game, but the second version, yes, as I understood, the second version is more like Islebound and totally different game. So I really like this game. The more I play, the more I like it because It has cool. I mean, like one thing I liked about this is one more thing I liked about this is the combat. That, like in Scythe, you go back to your home base or whatever there is. I remember or you go back one space or whatever to your home base. Doesn't matter right now, but you don't lose your troops. It's more friendly, and that's what I like. I don't like, for example, if a bad die roll or something like that ruins my combat, I will not lose all of my army. It will be frustrating in this game.
Fair enough.
Empires of the Void, my number 7.
All right.
Your number 6.
Well, my number 6 I was prepared for a moment ago because it's Near and Far.
Oh, I see.
Near and Far was most of that designer's games have come through Kickstarter, and I have liked most of them. In fact, and I've been with him since Empires of the Void 1 and City of Iron and Islebound and what's the one? It's not called Anachrony, but it's called Ancient World. There you
Sleeping
go.
God?
Well, Sleeping Gods, Ancient World. But this Near and Far, Above and Below, I think I've gotten them all. But Near and Far is probably the best one in my opinion. It's got this nice story where you're walking through and you can have adventures and you can chain different scenarios together to have a bigger adventure. You've got your own little racy type game as you're trying to get these tents out as quickly as possible, and you want to rush in and do that. There's an expansion which also came through Kickstarter where you're building out the mines. It's just a good game, and it's a good one that came from Kickstarter, and it's one that I really like. So There you go. My number 6, Near and Far.
Yeah, as I told you, it can, switch. I can switch between Empires of the Void and Near and Far, probably based on whether I want to play more at the moment. So yeah, the great pick. Plus, I would say Amber Mines expansion is essential in my opinion. It's just Amber Mines expansion made this game level up drastically for me.
Okay.
Because without those mines and those magical extra items, few of those spots were just whatever. But this time it's more like a strategy in there. And push your luck. I like push your luck in games. So
okay.
Right. So my number 6 is game that I don't know if it's going to be on your list. I don't think it's going to be on your list. But the game that I really like. Yeah, but this is a game I really like, and this is the heaviest game on my list, and it's my pick for a heavy Euro game, and that's Anachrony.
Yeah, I figured this one would be on your list.
Yeah, it's totally a Kickstarter game because it's so bloated. But that's where a bloated game doesn't really bother me in here, and I got this cool miniatures, and though they're not needed, I would say they're quite functional. Because without those miniatures, you have those tiles, and you put workers on those tiles, and it's not so cool. It's not so easy to pick them up and things, and they fall off. These miniatures have those slots for those workers. It just feels right with the miniatures. I think the miniatures are needed. They're not just like tapestry buildings.
I agree. I agree with that.
So they're functional. But overall, this is a time travel game, and it's where you can totally see the time travel theme, though it's a Euro game with lots of, maps and things going on. But I like building up yourself. I like this kind of a Manhattan Project feel to it as well. Your own board versus the central board, and central board is kind of limited, but your own board is do whatever you want, It's how you build up, and going back and building the super projects, and just trying to pile up the points.
Very well.
But many cool ways. Anachrony, great game. Yeah. My number 6.
It will not be on my list though.
I figured it out.
Okay.
So your number 5?
My number 5 is another game I talk about all the time, and it is a game from Kickstarter. This is one of the few I know I did not back the original Kickstarter, but I have, in fact, I picked it up at Gen Con a little later, and I waited for Gen Con because I wanted to convince myself I didn't need to buy the game. And I sat down for a demo with my brother, and we both walked away with a copy of the game. The game's a game I play all the time, and I've gotten its expansions also through Kickstarters, which is Too Many Bones.
Which is too many.
Too Many Bones, and this is an interesting little cooperative adventure game. You've got a character, and you've got all the characters are very different, and you're building up your pool of dice and your skills, and you're going against one of now probably 20 different bad guys, and you've got these chips that represent the bad guys and chips that represent you, and you're rolling dice and just trying to exploit all the things you can to get through to the end. It can be a challenging game, and especially some of the different tyrants they're called are quite challenging, but it's a very satisfying game. It's a lot of fun. It's really it's good solo, and it's good with a small group as well. I wouldn't go too high in the player count, but it's also a little long. It's extremely heavy. It's quite expensive, and it takes up a ton of table space. But if those aren't problems for you, this is a great one to investigate. And I got it did come through Kickstarter, although I did not get the original. I did get all of its expansions that way, so it almost counts.
Okay.
It does count. It was
All right.
a game. So
Yeah. All right. So my number 5 is a crossover. I think the first one. Is it? It is. It's Rising Sun.
no, what?
Yeah. It's only number 5. I do. Yeah. Everything you said. Everything I said. Yeah. I really like the big play mat.
Yes,
that you got for Kickstarter, and
doesn't fit anywhere, but it's nice.
Yeah, and the base game is already enough, but I like my Kickstarter version is the one with the everything plastic. Let's go everything plastic thing.
Yeah.
But I really like though. It's like mahjong, mahjong, those styles.
Yeah, those are nice.
These are really cool instead of those cardboard things. I think they were.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a good upgrade.
Yeah, this deluxe version is a great production. I liked it very much. So boost the game for me. Anyway, Rising Sun, I'm not gonna show it to you. It's been there.
It has.
So let's go to number 4.
Number 4 is another great Kickstarter game, one that I don't talk about as much as some of the other ones on this list, but it's a really fun game, and it's had a couple of Kickstarters now for its base game and its expansion, and hopefully more is coming. It's a game. The game is called Root. I guess I should say that. It is a game of forest combat. You've got cute creatures that are fighting in a forest, and they're doing different things. Everyone has sort of a different focus of how to go through it. Now there are the 4 basic creatures, and then there are 2 more that came in an expansion that came out at the same time. And then there's now 2 more that have come out, and there's a bunch of different maps and a bunch of different solo ways to play. It's an adorable game, and it was one that I got interested in because I had already played Vast, but Root is vastly superior, and it was one that came on Kickstarter. I think Vast came through Kickstarter as well, but I definitely prefer Root of the 2. It's a hard game to teach, a hard game to learn, and the player count is kind of critical because it's not best at 2. It's really a 3 or 4 player game, and that can kind of add to the time. But it's a really good one once you find the right group to play it with.
Lifetime to learn, and 2 lifetimes to master.
Well, lifetime to learn and a lifetime and a half to play through one game.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's fine.
And
Okay.
You've never.
I've never played this one.
Okay. Well, you might like it. I mean, it's a fairly aggressive war game, but it's still fun.
Yeah, I just don't want to invest my time into so much different information. Maybe I'll try it at some point, but
someone else teach you to play.
yeah, true that. But still, it's going to be a lot. Anyway, so let's go to my number 4, and my number 4 is probably the one that you considered it's going to be on my list. Your guess?
Let's see, what else?
We talked about this game during this episode.
We did,
but not, of course, during top 10. It's not a crossover.
Yeah, I know one game that's going to be, but it's going to be a little higher. Stockpile, maybe. Although
And you're right.
Stockpile was not originally a Kickstarter.
It was.
The original printing?
Yeah.
I know the
It's a-
expansions were.
No, the original printing was also Kickstarter.
I had ruled it out because I thought it was not originally a Kickstarter, but
Oh,
I thought it was a self-publish.
no, you can see it's a Kickstarter game.
Well, it is now because of the expansions, but I'm
No. Oh, sorry?
not sure that the base game was originally put out through Kickstarter.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that's the one where Tom Bassel talked about this one as, this is the prime example of a Kickstarter game that's done well.
Okay. It might be.
So, no, I did my research. It is. That's to be sure. So, it's an economy game, stocks manipulation game. I like the partial information. I like buying stocks and things. It's just it's easy. It's streamlined, but it's so fun to explore it and buy the cards that are, some of them are face down. You don't know what you're buying, but it's so much fun to buy something that you don't know what it is, and then you reveal and it's taxes or something like that, and it's fun and everybody's laughing and you're like, oh, I put this there, ha ha ha. It just works. It works with many people. I got some great laughs from this game, and it's just an amazing game. That's
it is. I agree.
Stockpile, my number 4.
It might have made my list. It certainly would have made my short list if I had I had thought that it was. I for some reason thought that it was not originally a Kickstarter, but that's fine. It's a great game.
Let me show you for a moment.
Well, I believe you.
Okay.
All right.
2014, by the way. Wow, that's a long time ago. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Your number 3?
All right, my number 3, a great big game, a very popular game, a Kickstarter classic, a Kickstarter mega success story, and this is Gloomhaven.
What's that? I never heard that.
Yeah, no one's ever heard of it, but I mean, it's certainly a Kickstarter success story, as is its smaller yet to be produced brother Frosthaven. It was a big old Kickstarter that, I did not join in on the Kickstarter, but I got it later because I saw what it looked like, and I thought that just sounds amazing. And it really was. And its new version, The Jaws of the Lion, is a really good way to learn it. And I think, some of the things that they've learned from that might eventually, hopefully, show up back in the original game. It's a great game of dungeon exploration. It's a game everybody really knows about. But it's also sort of an interesting Euro-type game. It's not really your roll dice and see what happens game. No, you're building up. You've got this deck you're customizing between games that gets stronger and stronger, and you can make it special just for your character. And you've got your action cards, which are constantly improving, and you're just trying to pick this up and almost Legends of Andor style, make it through a game on a very tight time clock, because your deck is constantly shedding itself and getting smaller and smaller, and eventually you'll not be able to continue because you're dead. So it's a really good game and a Kickstarter super success, one that lots of people have heard of, Gloomhaven.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't think it's one you've played.
No, I don't think I'm going to get to that. Anyway, my number 3 is another game that I don't know if you considered this one for my list, but it's totally the game that also, by the way, I was thinking about this one as a funking component game, but the whole game itself is a funking component, basically. I'm talking about Chronicles of Crime.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Because the whole game is QR codes. So it's funky, it's different, it's unique. So nobody else has done that in such a way. But
yeah, not in such a way.
Yeah. Plus the 3D glasses, it's also a funky component.
That is pretty amazing. I do have to. I mean, I like Chronicles of Crime a lot. I don't like it as much as some people do, but I really do enjoy it. And those virtual reality glasses are really kind of a spectacular moment of, oh, wow, what am I doing here? Even though, I mean, it's not the first time or even the best virtual reality, but sort of seeing it come to life on your table is really just kind of spectacular.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, this is a deduction game where you're trying to solve the mystery of a crime or whatever, but these are not just, always like somebody killed somebody and then you need to solve the crime. There are different types of crimes or mysteries or things that you need to solve. And I also have those 2 expansions, the Red View, and I played the first scenario of Red View, or one of the scenarios, I don't know, and then I played one of the scenarios for Noir, which is the is it 60s, 50s, something like that?
Yeah, I think it's like 20s and 30s.
Even 20s, 30s, sorry. But I mean, like, it's old times where you don't have any technology, you need to drive, and you need to, it's the bribing actions and all those different, it kind of introduces the new mechanics to the core game. And when I played the Noir expansion, I realized how different this game can be, even with those huge boundaries that it's set with those QR codes and kind of basically the same mechanic. But the stories are really well written. I mean, the puzzles, the stories, the solutions, and then you're like, when you kind of realize in your head that, oh, that's what. And then you go to questions, because at the end of the game, you need to go to those different questions and try to answer them. And they ask so weird questions. I'm like, why are they asking that? And they're like, I don't know. Yeah. I know who's the killer, but I don't know anything else beside that, And then you're plotting those theories in your head, and you like, if I usually try to play with 1 or 2 other players, I feel like it's a great 2-player game, in my opinion. Too many people is just too many opinions, and in this one you can concentrate. And then each time I play it, it's a blast. But those scenarios take some time, and they are so brain juice consuming. My brain is hurting each time I play them, because I'm trying to find the solutions.
And ultimately, it's almost the same game as a classic Spiel des Jahres winner, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. But it does it so much better because you don't have to flip through some stupid book constantly. And, there's a lot of content out there.
The app is great,
I have this one, but I also signed up for the new ones that are coming out. That
the Millennium.
A bunch of different. And then there's also one in the Joan of Arc universe.
There's the 1400s, 1900s.
There's those 3, and then they made another one that was with the people who did the Joan of Arc game.
Is it?
It's called Destinies.
Oh, they made they took the core mechanic of this story-based app with QR codes.
Yeah, it's essentially the same thing, and then it's just put into the Joan of Arc world instead of these real world scenarios. I know Joan of Arc was a real person, but the Joan of Arc world is not all that realistic.
Because I realized it's a different game. Okay. I mean, like, it's not like a deduction game; it's like exploration game or something like that.
No, I don't know much about it, but it's coming eventually.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay.
Anyway, it's a good game. It's not on my list, but it is definitely a great Kickstarter game. I certainly can agree with that.
That's the one that needed the Kickstarter in order to pop up and be successful. And now it's extremely successful, in my opinion, for such a quirky game.
Sure.
Quirky mechanics. Anyway, your number 2.
All right, my number 2. So let me explain very quickly why a certain game is not on my list. I was thinking, oh, gee, Sentinels of the Multiverse would be great. But that one was definitely not a first-run Kickstarter. That was before Kickstarter, the original edition, even though all the expansions came through Kickstarter. So that one was not able to be on my list. But another game by the same company that I love almost as much is Spirit Island, which is a fantastic game from the Kickstarter that I bought just because I liked Sentinels of the Multiverse, and I liked that company, and I liked most of the games that they'd done. And this is a game that has just stuck around so well with me. I got a shipping notification, or one of those remember to check your address for the expansion that they promised would come out in 2020 2 years ago. They said, it's coming out in 2020. And I thought, oh, there's no way it's going to take that long. It took that long. But but I'm really excited for that, too. It's just a great cooperative game. It's a fantastic solo game. But it also works well, with 2 or 3 as you're using your different powers and really working together because, one person just can't take care of everything. Interesting theme, great artwork, really interesting ways that the different spirits have kind of developed and they have their own personalities, and it's just a lot of fun. So that's my number 2, Spirit Highland.
Yeah. As you know, I played it with you, and
Just
I
that
feel
one.
like, but I felt it's just too heavy.
It is a tough learn.
It's just, for a cooperative game, I realized that cooperative games need to be a little bit more streamlined. This one is just too bloated, in my opinion.
Well, it's I wouldn't say it's bloated so much. Well, it can be. There's a whole bunch of extra expansion stuff that we didn't try, but it's very procedural, is what this one is.
Yeah, it was almost on my list of overrated games. So, but
it's not on mine.
yeah, true that. I don't want to say it's a bad game. It just feel like it's too heavy for what it needs to be.
It is a great game for me that came out of Kickstarter, so that's why it's on my list. And also, it lets me talk briefly about something that probably would have been my number 1, which is Sentinels of the Multiverse.
All right, so my number 2, this is the one you will probably predict. My first 2 games are easy pick, and I'm talking about Nemesis here.
No.
No way. But it's an easy pick because this is the Aliens, the board game. And yeah, you have some cool miniatures, and you're on this mothership or whatever it is, the spaceship, and you're exploring the ship. I really like the exploring part. You're fighting the aliens, and you're making a lot of noise, or your friends are making a lot of noise, and you're cursing. And because they made a lot of noise and they ran away, and now you need to deal with that queen alien here. So, but I mean, like, everybody has its own role and special abilities and cool stuff. It's also, this game is also bloated. I mean, it has a ton of different rules and things, but it's so thematic and it's so cool. You can just, learn some of the rules, start playing, and then as you go, learn more. Like, for example, you don't need to learn about combat as long as you don't have a combat. I mean, like, this game allows me to teach the game partially. That's why I like this game, even though it's bloated. And also, you can play it semi-cooperative, which is not the best way, with certain people. I mean, like, you need to find the right people for that, because it's like Dead of Winter. You have your secret objectives, and one of your secret objectives might be kill player 5. Like, every player has assigned a number, and you need to kill that other player. He must not survive. But and then you can play the cooperative game as well, where you have those common goals, and you don't kill each other, and you can reanimate each other. So if somebody's dead, you can try to save them, which makes them kind of cheer you up and say, "Oh, you can do it! You can save me!" It just becomes like even more amazing and thematic. So, great game, Nemesis.
Yeah, it is. I assume, because I've not played it. One of these days I will. I did sign up with the most recent Kickstarter, so I'll get the base game and all of its stuff.
The Lockdown?
Yeah.
I didn't.
And well, I wanted to get the base game, and so I thought I'll get the other stuff as well. And so eventually it'll make its way to me, and then I will play it and hopefully enjoy it. We might have to do a list someday of our top 10 Kickstarter regrets. And that's that's definitely one of mine, was that I had thought about getting it and decided not to. So
yeah, I didn't get into newest expansion because of course it offers, basically it's like standalone expansion. It offers a lot of new things and a new ship and whatever extra mechanics and things. But I felt like the one that I already have with the expansion that I had, the Void Series things, is just so much already.
Well,
and I will never get the other one to the table, or I will choose one over the other one.
Fair.
And I was like, I don't need too much of that game.
Oh.
And I can always buy it later.
Maybe.
Not. It's gonna be out there. It's gonna be out
Oh,
there.
Nemesis was really hard to find, other than through its Kickstarter.
True that, but I mean, like, I think they're gonna do some reprints
Yeah, we'll
and
see.
things because it's so popular.
Yeah, we'll see.
So anyway, let's go to our number ones, and I
Our
think
number one's got to be a crossover.
is it with S, starting with S?
It's a game that has an expansion coming out tomorrow.
It's not.
Yeah,
What?
the complete rule book in a fold-out spiral-bound form.
Wait. Let me guess. Does this game start with S and end with Kaif?
It, I think it ends with
Kif?
right.
It's Skyfe.
Fair enough.
Anyway, it's your number one and my number one.
Oh yeah, that was an easy
Let's
one.
blink both of them.
The last one that he did on Kickstarter, and that's fine. I'm happy to see him selling his games sort of through regular distribution. There's one coming out tomorrow that I'm sure people are excited about. But this is just a great game that came through Kickstarter. It's definitely my favorite game from this particular designer. His other games I found a little less. I mean, I like some of them, but they've been a little bit less exciting. But this one just really works well. All of the pieces really work well. All the different components work well. The story version works well. The expansions, other than the airship one, all really kind of fit seamlessly in.
I mean, airships is different. I mean, like, it just feels like it doesn't fit with the rest of the game that much.
Odd one out. They're the fart in the elevator, but
they're not bad. I mean, like, I play with them. Some people like them. I was like,
usually is, but the airships aren't terrible, but they're not my favorite. But everything else, I think, really works well together. It looks great. I've upgraded it and then upgraded it and then upgraded it again.
Yeah, I don't have the modular board yet.
I have it, but I have not used it yet.
Yeah, I mean, like, after I play through the campaign, I mean, like, the Rise of Fenris got so much modules and things that you can customize the game with, and I will not play without at least some of those modules because they are great. They make the game amazing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Scythe is great. Yeah, and his upcoming game, Pendulum.
Yep, upcoming tomorrow.
Yeah, I heard about that one, and I looked at that one and I was like, wow, this is the first. I think this is really the first Stonemaier game. I mean, like, I'm not counting viticulture because I was kind of interested in viticulture. I just wasn't interested in the theme. But this is the first game that I'm like, I don't care about.
But you didn't really care about Euphoria either.
Oh, no, I cared about it. Oh, okay. I played it. I liked it.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm excited about it. I'll order it tomorrow because why not? Maybe I'll get to play it. It has a solo mode.
Yeah.
I like real-time games. It seems like it's interesting enough. It's not as expensive as Tapestry was, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, most of these games are nice. I mean, like, except Viticulture is the only one I didn't like. Euphoria.
Are you going to order the Scythe expansion?
No. I don't need a complete
rule book. Everything in one place.
Wow. I don't care. I know the game by heart. Plus, I can always find a few rules. Yeah.
It's only $20, so I thought, why not? I'll throw it into the cart tomorrow.
Yeah. I want to get I don't want to get the Scythe. I want to get the. To be honest, I want to get the Euphoria back with the expansion. I don't know why. I just really like those mechanisms there with the dice. But I realized I didn't want to hop on the Kickstarter and see if I can get it cheaper later, maybe somehow.
What Kickstarter?
There was it wasn't Kickstarter. I think was it pre-order?
He doesn't do Kickstarter anymore. He did a pre-order for the expansion for Euphoria about a year ago.
Oh yeah, well maybe something like that. Yeah.
But he doesn't do anything on Kickstarter anymore.
Yeah, true that. Yeah, I'm talking about this stuff. Yeah, the pre-order stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so far so good.
There we
Wingspans.
go. We had 10 good games each. Well, I guess we didn't talk about 20 total because we had some crossovers, but
I think it will be more interesting once we get to Stinkies.
next time will be interesting because it'll probably be a lot of games that the other person has not heard of.
I'm sure you heard of all of mine. I don't have any games that I disliked from the Kickstarter, but
I'm going to be talking about games I disliked from the Kickstarter.
I mean, yeah. I had some games that I was kind of disappointed for what they turned out to be, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. Yeah, because I need to. I don't remember. You know, the bad games. You don't really remember if they came out from Kickstarter or from whatever black hole they came out of.
Well, I'm just going to go down my 600 and
from Space Continuums.
629 Kickstarter games. It was 658 total Kickstarters, although I probably might have a couple extra by the time we talk next. I'm just going to go down my list and see which ones I hated, because there are definitely some stinkers on that list.
I think I'm going to just go through my ratings that I rated low and see if they were Kickstarter games. So, all right, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. We're going to see you another time.
Mm-hmm.
And as we already announced, the next topic of the day will be also about Kickstarters, but more like failures, stinkies, bad smells, tastes, things, and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
And it will be about board games, of course. Board games, not spoons.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about an iPhone case or anything like that.
Oh yeah, true. All right. Thank you once more, and we see you another time. Bye-bye.